Hi everyone, Vic here from Forever Scrapping, and today I'm taking part in the Peartree Cutfile first ever cyber crop, and I've been asked to guest design for challenge 1, which is to use a pair of cut files. So I have picked from the Peartree Cutfile shop the Stitched Sunrays and the Beach Hut to create this 12 by 12 layout. So I love this Beach Hut cut file. I thought it was great. I love the idea of the lines of the sand or the ground that it was sat on. I just thought that added a little bit extra to it. So I really wanted to use that for my layout. And I wanted to scrap this photograph of my daughters at a recent trip to Mudeford. It was one of our first proper days out after lockdown, and they'd been so good throughout the whole thing of not being out of the house and that they really deserved a treat. So as you can see, I've cut the Stitched Sunray cut file on my 12 by 12 layout, and I've filled nearly the whole page of it. Now I haven't shown you doing the stitching on it because most of you, well probably all of you, know how to stitch. So I've literally just used some embroidery thread, 3 strands, and done a running stitch the whole way through all of the sunrays. I've done that in a yellow. The cut file cut really well, and the holes were just the perfect size, and my needle went through really easily. So I love that the machine can do it all for you. You don't have to worry about doing that. Otherwise you end up with really sore fingers and thumbs. So I'm now backing my Beach Hut cut file, and I wanted the wooden horizontal effect strips to be alternating colours, so I've picked pink and blue. Now I think I'm using here some Chamel papers to back the cut file, and I've mixed that with some of the Amy Tangerine papers as well. And I've pre-cut my strips of paper to back this part of the cut file. I've literally just cut them roughly. I haven't measured or anything. I've just used my big scissors there to cut strips of it, and then once they're stuck down and secure, I'm now trimming with my smaller scissors, just because the smaller scissors are better for getting into the fiddly bits. But it's quite a basic shape. They're basically just long rectangles, right? So there's no fiddling really that you need to do. You don't need to draw around it. Well, I don't draw around them, because I just think you just add the strips. It makes life easier and also quicker. Now I'm going to the part of backing my bunting now, and again I've just cut little triangles by eye, and I'm sticking them onto the back there. Now a little trick: if you have too much glue on the backs of your cut file, then just use your finger just to dab them off, because there's nothing worse than getting glue blobbing around the edge once you've stuck that paper down and trying to clean up the mess. So I wanted a contrasting colour for the roof and the door of the beach hut. So I've gone for a darker blue, and again it's some more Chamel paper. I just love the colour of that dark blue against the turquoise colour and pink. So I just used my pencil to draw the outline for the roof, and I'm doing exactly the same now for the door. I've drawn around the inside of the part that I want to back, and then just cut it a little bit wider, and that way it should fit perfectly. I'm super happy with how it's looking. So I'm going on to my sand area next. I wasn't quite sure how to go about this, but I decided again to draw a rough line. So I know roughly, and I can cut most of that bit off the edge there, so it's not so harsh and straight. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because I can just trim it again. So anyway, as I said, this photograph was from a day trip to Mudeford, and the girls literally spent all day on the beach and in the sea. I couldn't get them out, they were like water babies. And I'm doing lots of layouts of photographs of our day trip to Mudeford at the moment, simply because I'm not very good really at going back and scrapping like my old baby photos and that. I've scrapped most of them when I wanted to, and I tend to scrap in the moment, in the here and now. So when I've taken photographs I really like, then that's what inspires me to start creating my layouts. And during lockdown, obviously, because we were all inside, there were hardly any opportunities to go out and take photographs, and I was beginning to really struggle to find photos that I wanted to scrap that inspired me. I don't like to scrap just for the sake of it. I love it, it's brilliant, and it's a bit of me time and I can lose myself in it, but I have to like the photograph that I've taken or the memory in order to get the inspiration behind my layouts. So yeah, I've done lots of layouts. Then you'll see quite a few. I don't do videos for all of my layouts, but if you check me out on Instagram at Forever Scrapping, you'll see there are a lot coming up with photographs from our day trip to Mudeford. So going back to what I'm doing here for my sand, I wanted to add some more texture into it. I didn't want it just to be a plain block of colour, because the colour that I've picked, I think it's Amy Tangerine paper again, and it's quite orange. It has got like little yellow lines all on it, so I thought that would pass as being sort of summery and that, but obviously sand isn't yellow. So I've literally used my scalpel blade and cut like random wavy lines and then torn around the edges to give it a bit of a distressed look, and it also helps breaks it up and gives that effect, you know, like when the wind blows sand into like little mounds and that, and I just thought it just gave it a bit more added depth and dimension to that layout there. So, and I was really pleased actually with how it turned out, because I wasn't sure to start with, but it also just helped me ground that photograph. Now I've blown my photograph up quite large. I think I printed it at 5x7, and my eldest daughter is not very happy with me because she is the one on the left and Caris, my youngest, is on the right. Now Caris is quite petite and Isabella on the left is taller than me, but it's the other way around in this photograph, and the reason was because Caris was stood on like a rock, so Isabella was like, that doesn't look right, but I've cut off the rock bit there. I quite like the effect that you get of cutting photographs out. I don't do it all the time, but it's just nice to have something different to break your layout up, and by doing it like this, by blowing them up quite large and then cutting them out, just their silhouettes out, to me it just adds something different to my layout. It brings it more into a picture, rather than just sticking like my square or rectangular photograph down. So by doing those teared bits in the sand, I've actually helped me ground that photograph, because it looks like they're standing now on one of those bits of moundy, I don't know if they're mounds, they're not ripples, but you know what I mean, like a little mini sand dune bit on the beach. So I've cut round the circle from the Stitched Sunray cut file there with some of the yellow paper, and I wanted to add a bit more dimension to that. So what I've done is I've got some tiny 1mm pom-pom trim, and I've machine stitched that to the underside of it, and I think that just helps again add a bit more interest and depth to my layout. So just sticking everything down now. The bottom part where the sand is with just glue, so it's flat, and then I'm just raising up the rest of it like the beach hut, and I'll also raise my children off the layout a bit using some kids foam, sticky back foam. And it's really coming together now, really like it. So the title is going to be Summer, and that was using some Bramble Fox perspectives. And I love how it's coming together. It's the effect that I wanted, and I think it works really nicely. But to me, the bunting on my summer house, beach hut, I suppose it could be a summer house as well, but the beach hut wasn't really standing out enough for me. So what I've done is I've traced around the outline of those tiny little triangle negative pieces from the cut file, and I've then recut a different colour pattern paper which stands out more now, I think, to the rest of the beach hut, and I've just raised them up on little bits of foam there, so to add some more dimension, and I'm much happier with that result. So I'll leave you to watch the end of my video now. I hope this has inspired people to pair some cut files together. You can always use more than one cut file on a layout. And as I said, this is for challenge 1 for the Peartree cut file cyber crop on the 15th of August, which is when this goes live. So do head on over there and join in the fun and games for the day. There's lots of fantastic challenges that Marie's put on there for you all. And thanks so much for watching. This has been Vic at Forever Scrapping, and I'll see you soon. Bye!